You're not lazy. You're distracted. And it's not your fault, because the world is designed to keep you weak, entertained, and broke. But in this video, we're not playing that game. We're going to expose the addiction that's stealing your focus, your discipline, and your future. And if you stay, I'll show you how to kill it before it kills your potential. So stay with me, because this video is not for everyone. It's not for the ones who want to feel better for 5 minutes and fall back into the loop. It's for the one who knows deep down that time is running out. It's for the man who feels the war inside his own soul. The one who knows he was built for more. The one who's ready to make a final decision to kill the weaker path and walk the road of fire, the road of kings, the road of silence, structure, and savage focus. The world doesn't reward the distracted, it rewards the obsessed, the focused, the dangerous, the ones who go dark, shut the noise off, and build in silence. You want to change your life? Start by reclaiming your attention. That is the gate. That is the door. And behind that door is every single thing you say you want. Success, confidence, peace, clarity, power. But it won't come to you while you're still feeding the part of you that's addicted to noise. You used to have ideas, goals, discipline. But now you can't even sit in silence for 10 minutes without reaching for your phone. You think you're tired, you think life is hard. But the truth is much simpler. You've been hijacked. Your mind, your energy, your willpower, it's all being stolen by the invisible drug of this generation, distraction. And the scariest part, you've gotten comfortable with it. You've normalized it. You've made peace with being average. Simply because your attention has been scattered so thin, you can no longer focus long enough to remember who you were supposed to become. This isn't just about screen time or bad habits. This is about identity. Because every time you scroll instead of study, binge instead of build, zone out instead of rise up, you're making a silent decision. You're voting for the weakest version of yourself. You're telling your future, I'm not coming. You're not consciously choosing failure, but you are unconsciously submitting to it. And in a world where your attention is the most valuable currency, the one who can control his focus becomes the rarest and most powerful man alive. You tell yourself, I'll stop tomorrow, but you said that yesterday. You tell yourself, I'll just check for 5 minutes. But it's never 5 minutes, is it? It turns into hours. It turns into guilt. It turns into shame. And then what do you do to escape that shame? You distract yourself again. This is a trap, a loop, a psychological prison disguised as entertainment. And if you don't break it, you won't just waste time. You'll waste your life. The algorithm doesn't care about your dreams. It doesn't care about your family, your legacy, your greatness. It's not here to help you. It's here to own you. And every time you choose it over your discipline, you're choosing slavery over freedom. You think discipline is hard? Try regret. Try looking back 10 years from now and realizing that all your potential was buried beneath hours of meaningless content and endless dopamine. There is a war going on for your mind. Every notification is a bullet. Every app is a weapon. Every platform is a battlefield, and you're walking through it unarmed. But here's the truth. You don't need more time. You don't need more motivation. You need to take your mind back. You need to take your future back. And it starts with one brutal decision. Kill the version of you that needs distraction to cope. Kill him, and something stronger will be born in his place. Because this is the moment most people tap out. They hear truth and they flinch. They hear discipline and they look for comfort. But if you're still here, listening, breathing, staring down this mirror I'm holding up, it means you're not like most people. It means there's a spark still alive in you, and you better protect that spark, because this world is designed to smother it. It'll distract you with noise, bury you in convenience, and hand you a dopamine leash, just tight enough that you don't even notice you're being dragged. Every minute you stay weak is a minute you're getting further from your purpose. You think your future is waiting patiently. You think greatness just pauses and says, take your time. No, it moves on. Opportunity moves on. And the man you could have been starts dying the moment you choose pleasure over power. That's the hard truth they don't tell you. Your dreams don't chase you. They outgrow you. And if you don't match their pace, you'll be left behind with nothing but envy and excuses. You don't rise by wish, you rise by war. By declaring that your attention, your time, your life is yours again. Do you know what a focused man becomes in this generation? a threat, a weapon, a magnet, because he's not swayed by every sound, every screen, every fear. He's anchored. He's locked in. While everyone else is spinning in circles, he builds in silence and shows up when it matters. And that man, he doesn't beg for freedom. He becomes it. People will call you extreme. Good, let them. Extremes are what separate winners from watchers. The world wasn't built by balanced people. It was built by obsessed ones. Those who chose the pain of discipline over the agony of mediocrity. You can't live like the masses and expect the life of the elite. You can't scroll like a peasant and expect to rise like a king. You want to be then you need uncommon habits, uncommon focus, and an uncommon refusal to be average. You're not powerless, you've just been pacified. But now you're waking up. Now you're feeling the hunger again. If you feed that hunger with action, ruthless, disciplined, daily action, it will take you places no app, no comfort, no entertainment ever could. You don't need motivation, you need decision. One decision to reclaim your mind. One decision to trade weakness for war. One decision to delete the lies and rebuild the man. And when the days get quiet, when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, that's when it really begins. That's when your new life is forged. In the darkness, in the silence, in the spaces where you used to run to distraction. But now you face yourself. That's how power is built. Not in public, but in private. Not with noise, but with discipline. And if you do that long enough, if you stay locked in, long after others quit, one day the world will ask how you did it. And you'll smile, because you'll know you stopped playing the game that was rigged to make you lose. You became dangerous when you became disciplined. You became unstoppable when you took your attention back. You became rare when you stopped seeking stimulation and started seeking strength. And that's who you are now. And now that you've tasted that clarity, don't let it slip. Don't go back to who you were before this video started. That version of you was tolerating too much, wasting time, doubting potential, apologizing for being hungry. That version of you was but now you're waking up to the truth that no one's coming to save you. No mentor, no guru, no perfect timing, just you, just your will. And if you lean into that, if you take full responsibility for every inch of your life, that's when everything begins to change. Start small. Maybe you get up an hour earlier, you stop negotiating with your laziness. You stop saying just this once when it comes to your distractions. You stop being emotionally loyal to your old. You stop entertaining low vibration thoughts, low effort habits, low standard people. You create friction with who you used to be. And that friction, that's growth. That's you clawing your way out of mediocrity and into mastery. People might not get it. They might laugh at the new you. They might say you're too serious, too intense. Good. Let them say it. While they're laughing, you're leveling up. While they're judging, you're building. And eventually, they'll stop laughing. They'll start asking. They'll want to know how you changed. And by then, you won't even have to explain. Your presence will speak for itself. Your results will make the noise. The truth is, there's a version of you that's so much stronger than anything you've ever experienced. A version that doesn't flinch under pressure, that doesn't fold when life gets heavy, that doesn't get dragged by impulses, emotions, or opinions. But that version doesn't show up for free. You have to pay for him, in sweat, in discipline, in sacrifice. You have to prove you're worthy of him by killing off everything that kept him buried. So kill the version of you that waits for motivation. Kill the version that keeps scrolling, comparing, hesitating. Kill the version that's soft with himself when he knows he should be sharp. Kill the version that settles when he knows he's meant to rise. This world won't reward you for being kind to your excuses. It rewards the one who fights through, the one who makes no excuse, takes no day off from being who they said they would become. The one who doesn't flinch when it's hard, but grits his teeth and says, let's go. Because on the other side of that fight, the fight with yourself, is the life most will never taste. And it's yours, if you're willing to go all in. Keep listening, because I'm not done yet. And if you're still here, it means something inside you is stirring. That quiet part of you that's tired of pretending, tired of quitting, tired of feeling powerless. That part is waking up. That's not a coincidence. That's your higher self trying to come alive. And let me tell you something. Most people will ignore that voice. They'll drown it in noise. numb it with comfort, delay it with distraction, but not you, not today. Because here's the truth, they never told you. Everything in this world is designed to train you to become average. The systems, the scrolling, the sugar, the comfort, they're all silently weakening you. They reward obedience, not greatness. They want you passive, emotional, addicted. So if you don't train your mind like your life depends on it, the world will train it for you, and it'll make sure you never rise above survival. But you weren't built for survival. You weren't born to live on your knees, apologizing for being hungry for more. You weren't meant to be another number in the system. You were built to rise, to conquer, to dominate the space around you with energy, focus, clarity, and fire. And to become that, you have to unlearn everything soft that this world has trained into you. Start by mastering your morning, not because it's trendy, but because it's war. The minute you open your eyes, you're either in control or being controlled. You're either training yourself or being trained by your weaknesses. The world starts throwing punches the moment you wake up. Emails, dopamine traps, obligations. So the first hour, that belongs to you. That's sacred. Guard it like your future depends on it, because it does. Then you move, not because it's easy, but because movement kills stagnation. Sweat builds discipline. When your body is strong, your mind gets sharper. Your decision-making becomes ruthless. Your confidence grows, not from compliments, but from the proof of your own effort. The mirror stops lying when you start showing up. Next, silence the noise. Turn off the opinions. Cut the gossip. Limit the passive consumption. Because your focus is your superpower. And every notification, every distraction, every piece of junk you feed your mind, it weakens you. You want to win? Then treat your mind like it's sacred ground. Only let greatness in. Let wisdom in. Let purpose in. Everything else, starve it. And finally, move in silence. You don't need to explain your grind to people who don't share your vision. You don't need validation for your discipline. Results are loud enough, let them wonder. Let them guess. While they're watching, you're becoming. While they're debating, you're deciding. While they're hesitating, you're executing. This is the separation season. The moment where average people make excuses and you make decisions. The moment where most people hit snooze and you hit the next level. The moment where the weak version of you begs for comfort and you tell it to shut up and sit down. And here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. The weak version of you is not just holding you back. It's destroying your future in slow motion. Every time you hit snooze, that version wins. Every time you scroll instead of study, eat instead of train, talk instead of build, that version gets stronger. But not because it's powerful, no. It only wins because you feed it. You keep giving it control. And the more control you give it, the more invisible your dreams become. But today, right now, you make a new agreement with yourself. That voice of doubt doesn't lead anymore. That fear, it can walk beside you, but it doesn't get to steer the ship. That impulse to procrastinate, you recognize it as the enemy now. You don't need motivation. You need a mission, something that pulls you up when you're tired, when you're broke, when you're scared, when no one's clapping, something so powerful it demands you rise regardless of what you feel, because life doesn't care how you feel. Bills don't care. The clock doesn't care. The opportunity of a lifetime doesn't care whether you felt like it that day. Success is merciless to the weak and absolutely loyal to the disciplined. You want freedom? Then you better fall in love with doing the hard things no one wants to do. That's the price. You kill the weak self by starving it and feeding your future. Wake up with purpose. Move with urgency. Speak with conviction. Think like a winner long before the world believes you are one. You don't become successful and then act successful. You act successful and eventually the world catches up. The mindset comes first, then the grind, then the momentum. And one day when the world finally notices, you won't need their applause because you already built it in the dark. This is where the war is won. In your decisions, when no one's watching. In the choices you make when it's raining. When you're broke, when you're tired, when it doesn't feel fair. That's when the old you dies, not in a big explosion, but in thousands of silent battles. You beat him every time you choose growth over comfort, effort over excuse, action over anxiety. You weren't made to blend in. You were made to become a living weapon, disciplined, dangerous, and impossible to break. Not because life got easier, but because you got harder. You built a spine, a standard, a code of honor that you live by when no one's holding you accountable. That's what makes you powerful. Not talk, not hype, but the quiet, lonely, invisible moments when you choose to keep going. So kill that weak version of yourself every single morning. Bury him under discipline. Suffocate him with consistency. Starve him with focus. And when he begs you to quit, smile and go harder. Because you're not here to survive. You're here to rewrite your story, brick by brick, rep by rep, day by day. And the only person standing in your way is the one you refuse to let go of. Now watch this next video. It will finish what this one started. You're not done evolving. You're just getting started. Every day you wake up, you're either feeding the weak version of yourself or you're killing it. There's no neutral ground, no pause button, no safety net. The world doesn't wait for you to get stronger. It doesn't stop spinning while you heal, while you hesitate, while you hide. It moves forward. And if you're not becoming the person who can keep up with it, who can command it, you're being left behind by it. That's the cold truth. You know the weak version of yourself all too well. It's the one that negotiates with your goals. The one that says, just one more hour of sleep. The one that says, you've done enough for today. The one that watches others win and whispers, maybe that life isn't for people like us. But the real you, the one buried under years of doubt, distraction, delay, is starving for a chance to lead. And it can't rise until you destroy the one you've been holding on to. It's not about hating who you are. It's about refusing to accept what keeps you small. You kill the weak version by doing what it won't. You go to the gym when it screams to stay in bed. You make the call when it trembles with fear. You show up early. You stay late. You speak up when it wants you silent. You move with purpose when it wants you still. You become the one in the room who's undeniable. Because your actions are louder than everyone's excuses. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to wake you up, drag you out of bed and say, hey, it's time to become who you were meant to be. That's your job, that's your burden, and that's your power. Because once you realize that everything you want is already within reach, if you're willing to let go of everything that's been holding you down, you become unstoppable. You stop waiting to feel ready. You stop chasing comfort. You stop needing permission. The weak version of you is scared of being alone, being rejected, being misunderstood. So it keeps you average, keeps you agreeable, keeps you safe. But you were not made for safety. You were made for transformation, for war, for legacy. That version of you, it's not just weak, it's a lie. And you can't build a powerful life on a lie. You have to burn it down. You have to stand over its ashes and say, that's who I used to be, and that version of me is never coming back. Every time you push through pain, every time you say no to your old habits, every time you choose action over excuses, you are writing a new identity, one of discipline, one of vision, one of iron will. That's who the world bends to. Not the one who waits, but the one who commands respect, not with words, but with the quiet storm of their consistency. The one who walks into every room like they belong there because they earned it. So when the voice comes again, and it will, telling you to slow down, to give up, to go back, remember this, that voice is not your friend, it's your test. And every time you override it, you strengthen the muscle that will one day carry you through storms that would have broken you before. Kill the weak version of yourself every single day, because if you don't, it will kill everything you're meant to become. Distraction is not just stealing your time, it's stealing your life. It's not harmless, it's not innocent. It's a silent enemy wearing the mask of entertainment, convenience, and comfort. And the worst part, you let it in. You let it hijack your focus, fracture your drive, and dull your potential. You think scrolling for 5 minutes doesn't matter, but those 5 minutes are killing your edge. They're numbing your urgency. They're teaching your brain to crave dopamine over discipline. Distraction is the reason you can't finish what you start. It's why your vision is blurry. It's why your goals feel distant, even though they're waiting right in front of you. But every time you pause to check something meaningless, you're telling your future you can wait, and that is the most dangerous lie you can live. The belief that you'll get to it later. There is no later. There's only now, and every now that you waste becomes a never you'll regret. We live in a world that monetizes your attention. That means every ping, every notification, every cleverly designed app isn't just a tool, it's a trap. It's engineered to keep you engaged, but disengaged from your own destiny. It makes you feel busy while you stay stuck. You think you're doing a lot, but at the end of the day, nothing has moved. Nothing meaningful got built. You just gave your day away in tiny little pieces to people, platforms, and priorities that aren't even yours. Let me tell you the truth. If you can't master your focus, you'll never master your life. You could have all the talent, all the dreams, all the tools, but if you can't sit still, go deep, and stay locked in, none of it matters. Distraction turns greatness into mediocrity, not because you weren't capable, but because you were never fully present, because you lived in fragments, because you allowed the world to dictate your energy instead of disciplining it yourself. Focus is a superpower now. In an age of noise, silence is power. In an age of scrolling, stillness is rebellion. You want to do something exceptional? You want to build something real? Then kill the distractions. Shut the world out. Lock in. And don't look up until the work is done. Not because it's trendy, but because it's sacred. Your future depends on it. Your confidence is built in it. Your identity is forged in those silent, focused hours that nobody else sees. When you start cutting out distractions, people will think you're obsessed. Let them. They won't understand why you don't reply instantly, why you miss the latest trend, why you're not wasting time with everyone else. That's okay. They don't have your vision. They're not building what you're building. You don't need more approval, you need more discipline. Because while they're being entertained, you're evolving. While they're escaping, you're creating. This is not about perfection. It's about intensity. It's about showing up with your full presence and refusing to split your attention between purpose and nonsense. You don't need more hours. You need more intentional hours. And that only happens when you stop letting the world rent space in your mind for free. So from this moment forward, train your mind like a weapon. Protect your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. One distraction might seem small, but over time, it becomes a lifestyle. And that lifestyle is what's robbing you of everything you could have had. Kill the noise, command your attention, and the life you've been chasing will finally be within reach. You have to understand, distraction isn't just external, it's internal. It's not just the phone in your hand, it's the thoughts you entertain, the doubts you feed, the excuses you allow to repeat like a broken record. Distraction is when you replay conversations that already ended, when you worry about things you can't control, when you constantly compare yourself to others. That's mental clutter, that's spiritual fog, and it clouds your power to act. Your greatest breakthroughs won't come when your life is perfect. They'll come when your mind is disciplined, when you can silence the noise inside just as much as the noise outside, because clarity doesn't scream, it whispers. And if your head is full of junk, you'll never hear the voice that's trying to guide you forward. You think you need motivation. You don't. You need clarity. You need intention. You need to decide that your purpose matters more than the temporary hit of pleasure you get from checking your phone, watching another reel, or numbing yourself with distraction. You need to feel the cost of your inattention, the cost of another week gone with nothing to show for it, the cost of being present everywhere except in your own purpose. Do you know what it feels like to go to sleep proud of yourself? To lie in bed not feeling regret, guilt, or anxiety, but peace, because you know you showed up, that you didn't betray your future for cheap pleasure today. That peace comes from focus. That pride is built in sacrifice. That freedom is earned in the hours nobody claps for. Your goals are starving because you keep feeding your distractions. But what if today you broke the cycle? What if you made discomfort your new comfort zone? What if you built a routine that left no room for distraction? Not because you're perfect, but because you're focused. What if you stopped giving your energy to everything that wasn't aligned with your mission? Discipline is the opposite of distraction. One builds, the other bleeds. One creates momentum, the other kills it. And once you finally choose discipline, distraction starts to lose its power. The cravings don't disappear, but you stop negotiating with them. You stop letting your attention be cheap. You stop being so available to everyone else that you become unavailable to yourself. This is your moment to reclaim your attention, to stop being another lost soul drowning in dopamine and distractions, to stop scrolling through other people's lives while yours collects dust. You're not here to be average. You're not here to just get by. You're here to build, and building anything worth having requires obsession, not balance, not convenience. Obsession, controlled, disciplined, focused. Don't just escape the noise, replace it with learning, with creating, with execution, with moments that move your future forward. The world isn't going to slow down for you to find your focus. You have to create the silence. You have to build the discipline. You have to become the person who no longer flinches when distraction comes knocking, because that's who wins. And when you do, when you master this invisible war, you become dangerous, because now your mind is yours, your time is yours, your life is finally being lived by you, not rented out to meaningless things that will never love you back. Now lock in, refuse to break, and make distraction regret ever trying to take your focus away from the life you're about to build. You don't even notice it anymore, do you? The twitch, the unconscious reach for your phone, the endless scrolling through nothing. Dopamine drip after dopamine drip, convincing your brain it's doing something, when in reality, it's doing nothing. You've been programmed to crave interruption, to need stimulation, to fear stillness, and it's killing your potential in silence. This is not a small problem. This is not harmless. Every time you break your focus to check a notification, every time you trade boredom for a screen, you're not just wasting time, you're weakening your mind. You're training your brain to be passive, reactive, dependent. You're making distraction your master. And when distraction owns your mind, discipline dies. The truth, the greatest danger is not that you'll fail. The greatest danger is that you'll become successful at meaningless things, that you'll build a life full of noise, but empty of purpose. You'll be busy, but never effective, entertained, but never fulfilled, surrounded by stimulation, yet haunted by a quiet desperation that you can't explain. That's the curse of a distracted mind. You were never meant to live this way. You were never meant to be a slave to attention algorithms. Your power is in your depth, in your ability to go hours without needing validation, without needing a hit of pleasure, without needing to escape. Greatness doesn't come from checking in. It comes from locking in, from going so deep into your purpose that everything else fades to black. You want a breakthrough? Then starve your distractions. Reclaim your attention like your life depends on it, because it does. Build rituals that protect your focus. Create mornings without noise. Create evenings with silence. Spend time with your own thoughts until they stop scaring you, because what you fear isn't silence. It's the mirror, and that mirror is where your greatness is waiting. There's a version of you that's locked behind your distractions, a powerful version. Focused, clear, dangerous, but you'll never meet them if you keep running from boredom. Because boredom is not the enemy, it's the gateway, the doorway to creative genius, deep work, powerful ideas, and inner strength. But you've got to pass through it, and most people never do. Most people would rather scroll than evolve. You say you want success, but what are you willing to trade for it? Because success doesn't visit the distracted, it visits the obsessed, the intentional, the focus. It visits the person who goes all in, not half in while checking DMs every 10 minutes. And if you keep choosing comfort, stimulation, and quick dopamine, then you're not chasing success, you're running from effort. This isn't about being perfect. This is about being honest. Ask yourself, when was the last time you went 24 hours without distraction, without needing noise to fill the gaps? Could you even do it? Because if you can't be alone with your thoughts, you'll always be a prisoner no matter how rich or talented you become. Napoleon Hill once said, "You either control your mind or it controls you." And today, your mind is being hijacked. not by enemies, not by the government, but by distraction, by addiction to comfort, by a million things that don't matter. And the only way back is discipline, ruthless, non-negotiable discipline. So stop feeding the beast, silence the noise, delete what needs to be deleted, set boundaries no one can cross, not even you. This is your life, and every second you waste chasing distraction is a second stolen from your potential, your purpose, your future family, and your inner peace. You're not here to be entertained. You're here to build. You're not here to consume. You're here to create. You're not here to drift. You're here to dominate. So take it back, your mind, your time, your energy. Starve distraction, feed purpose, and watch what happens when your life is finally aligned with intention. Because here's what they don't tell you. Distraction is not just keeping you stuck. It's rewiring who you are. Every moment you give to meaningless content, every second spent reacting instead of creating, you're not just losing time. You're losing identity. You are what you repeatedly do, and if what you repeatedly do is escape discomfort, avoid focus, and numb your emotions with stimulation, then who are you becoming? You're becoming average, and not because you lack talent, but because you're too distracted to refine it. You're becoming weak, not in body, but in spirit, because you're too afraid to be still long enough to hear what your soul is trying to tell you. You're becoming small, not in potential, but in vision, because the lens through which you see life is fogged with every news swipe, every notification, every mindless scroll. And the price, it's everything. You don't write the book, you don't start the business, you don't have the difficult conversation, you don't find your purpose, you don't become who you were born to be. Why? Because every time life whispered to you, you were too distracted to hear it. But here's the beautiful, brutal truth. You are one decision away from changing that. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. You can shut it all down. You can choose to unplug. You can choose boredom. You can choose silence. You can choose the long, hard, beautiful road of self-discipline and say, I refuse to be owned by distraction another day in my life. Because focus is freedom. Because clarity is power, because presence is purpose, and when you remove the noise, something miraculous happens. You remember who you are. You remember what you came here to build. You remember the standards you buried beneath comfort. And suddenly that fire inside you, it's back. It's not gone. It was just drowning under all the noise. You are not here to be another passive consumer in a world addicted to reaction. You are here to be a force, a creator, a leader. Someone who moves through life with intention, not impulse. Someone who can sit in stillness and hear divine instruction. Someone who can delay gratification, outwork the algorithm, and build a life of meaning while the rest of the world gets hypnotized. This is your moment to make the shift, not just once, but daily. Every morning you wake up, you will be faced with a choice: creation or consumption, purpose or distraction, destiny or dopamine. And it is those small daily choices, the ones no one sees, that determine the life everyone will see. So make the decision, draw the line, kill the addiction, build the discipline, starve the noise, rebuild the mind, reclaim the hours, and watch what happens to your life when your mind is finally your own again. Because the truth is, the most dangerous prison isn't made of walls, it's made of notifications. It's built from 5-second videos, 10-second dopamine hits, and 1,000 small compromises that steal your time and your soul. And the bars, they're invisible. That's why it's so dangerous. You don't even know you're trapped. You think you're free, but your attention is bought and sold. You think you're living, but you're only reacting. You think you're making progress, but you're only scrolling past the life you could be building. Let me be clear, the system isn't broken. It's designed this way. Entire industries are built on your distraction. Your confusion is their currency. Your wasted time funds someone else's dream. The more addicted you are to distraction, the easier you are to control. The weaker your mind, the stronger their influence. That's why they don't want you to slow down. That's why silence feels terrifying. Because when you slow down, when you cut the noise, you start to see clearly. And when you see clearly, you wake up. And when you wake up, you become powerful. The moment you reclaim your mind, you reclaim your life. But this isn't easy. It's war. and the battlefield is your focus. Every time you try to concentrate, your phone fights back. Every time you reach for discipline, comfort seduces you. Every time you choose depth, the shallow world mocks you. But you must fight. You must resist. Because greatness is not given. It's guarded by the gates of distraction. And only those who can suffer the silence, kill the noise, and master their attention ever make it through. So you must train. You must become dangerous. Mentally, ruthlessly intentional, brutally focused. A man or woman of such deep clarity that the world's noise can't penetrate your mind. You must protect your mornings like your life depends on it, because it does. You must study, move, breathe, and build like every minute matters, because they do. You must replace entertainment with education. Replace scrolling with strategy. Replace reacting with rising. And every time your mind wanders, bring it back. Not once, but every single time, until focus becomes your home again. Because while the world sleeps in distraction, you will rise in devotion. While they scroll, you will study. While they binge, you will build. And while they lose themselves to comfort, you will forge yourself in purpose. This is the calling now. Not to live like everyone else, but to think like no one else. To live awake in a world that wants you numb. To be a warrior of attention, a monk of discipline, a builder of legacy. Because the chains of distraction are not just on your phone. They're in your mind. Every time you reach for your phone without thinking, every time you lose an hour to mindless scrolling, every time you chase that tiny spike of dopamine instead of your destiny, you're feeding the weaker version of yourself. The version that's afraid of silence, allergic to boredom, terrified of facing the truth in the mirror. That version will never build anything that lasts. That version only knows how to escape, not how to endure. And here's the hard truth. If you don't control your mind, someone else will. If you don't direct your thoughts will direct you straight into regret. Because distraction is not just stealing your time, it's stealing your identity. The focused version of you, the one with power, clarity, vision, it's being buried every day under layers of noise, likes, retweets, trends, and notifications. But that version isn't gone. It's waiting for you to wake up. You must starve your distractions to feed your greatness. You must go to war with the habits that are killing your future. Not gently, aggressively, not someday, right now. Delete the apps, turn off the noise, close the tabs, cut the comfort. Build a life so compelling you no longer need to escape from it. Because that's what this is about. Freedom. The freedom to build. The freedom to think. The freedom to live deliberately. And I promise you, the beginning will feel like withdrawal. You'll feel empty without the noise. You'll crave the escape. Your brain will scream for stimulation. But hold the line. Stay in the silence. Stay in the boredom. Because after the fog clears, you'll begin to feel something else. Clarity, depth, peace. The ability to think deeply again. To hear your own thoughts. To find the signal in the chaos. That's when you know you're getting your power back. And once you've felt that kind of clarity, you'll never want to go back. You'll stop chasing what's urgent and start doing what matters. You'll stop reacting to the world and start rebuilding yourself. You'll realize that distraction wasn't just the thief of your time. It was the enemy of your destiny. But here's the final truth. No one can do this for you. No motivational video, no podcast, no book, no friend. Only you. This is your mind, your life, your war. You must wake up every day and choose silence over noise, depth over distraction, discipline over comfort. You must remember that every moment of focus is a seed, and over time, those seeds become strength. Those seeds become momentum. Those seeds become the life you were born to live. And when that happens, when the world tries to pull you back, you won't bend, you won't break, because you'll know something they don't. You are no longer distracted. You are dangerous. Because once you taste that kind of power, the power that comes from owning your attention, you start to see everything differently. You stop being a slave to urgency. You stop letting algorithms decide you begin to realize how much of your life was borrowed, how much of your mind was rented out to entertainment, trends, and meaningless opinions. You reclaim yourself, not just in action, but in thought, in energy, in identity. Distraction is how they keep you ordinary. It's how the world trains you to settle. Because a distracted man doesn't build empires. A distracted woman doesn't start revolutions. A distracted mind doesn't disrupt anything. It just consumes. It scrolls. It watches, it waits, and waits, until one day you look back and realize you watched your life happen instead of living it. But not anymore. From now on, you train your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. You set boundaries, you control your input, you build routines that protect your focus like sacred ground. You stop saying, I'm just tired, or just 5 more minutes. You start saying, no, I have something to build. I have something to become. I have a life that won't create itself. And in the silence, in the moments where you used to reach for distraction, you'll start to hear something powerful, your future calling you. Not in noise, not in chaos, in quiet clarity, in the stillness that most people run from. You will find your path, and it won't be loud. It won't be easy, but it will be real, and it will be yours. You will start seeing distraction as poison, not pleasure, as theft, not relief. You'll stop asking what's trending and start asking what's timeless. You'll stop chasing attention and start cultivating depth, because your legacy will not be built on what you consumed. It will be built on what you create. Remember this, the people who change the world are not the most talented or the most gifted. They are the ones who can sit with themselves long enough to hear the truth, then act on it. They are the ones who can think clearly while the rest of the world is drowning in noise. They are the ones who protect their focus like it's life or death, because to them it is. And if you want that life, a life of greatness, of peace, of undeniable impact, then it starts here, right now, with one decision: to no longer run, to no longer scroll, to no longer distract yourself from your potential, but instead to sit, to think, to build. And as you begin to build brick by brick, day by day, you'll notice something almost mystical. The things that once controlled you begin to lose their power. The endless craving for validation, the itch to check your phone every 2 minutes, the constant fear of missing out. It all starts to fade, not because the world changes, but because you do. You begin to operate from a different frequency, one of intention, clarity, and inner. You no longer need the world's noise because you've found your own signal. This is how leaders are made, in silence, in solitude, in the unseen moments where most people quit. When you choose to stay with the discomfort of discipline rather than escape into the comfort of distraction, because you understand now, distraction is not harmless. It is the silent killer of dreams, of character, of destiny. The modern world has made addiction look casual, but make no mistake, being addicted to distraction is no different than being addicted to any other poison. It numbs your mind. It weakens your spirit. It steals your ambition, while disguising itself as entertainment. And it is everywhere, on your phone, in your habits, in the people you allow into your space. Every moment you give to it is a moment you never get back. You were not born to live a life of reaction. You were born to live a life of creation. And that starts by removing the weights tied to your ankles, the constant notifications, the meaningless gossip, the comparison traps, the mindless consumption, all of it dead weight, all of it keeping you average. Cut it loose. Begin to train your mind like a warrior prepares for battle. Wake up with intention, move with purpose, think before you react, speak less, observe more, create before you consume. Learn how to sit alone without reaching for a screen, because the man who can sit in silence without needing to be distracted, that man is dangerous. That man is focused. That man is free. And when you're free from distraction, you become available to greatness, to insight, to the deep work your soul was meant to do. Your energy begins to compound. Your habits begin to serve you. Your confidence rises not from external praise, but from internal alignment. And the world, the same world that once tried to seduce you with noise, begins to bend in the presence of your clarity, because there's something about a focused person that makes the universe move. People start to notice. Doors begin to open, ideas begin to flow, and what once felt impossible now becomes inevitable, because you finally stopped giving your life away to distraction and took it back. That's when you realize your whole life was waiting for you to wake up, not physically, mentally, spirit. You weren't behind in life because you weren't smart enough, lucky enough, or born into the right family. You were behind because your focus was fractured. Your attention was sold to the highest bidder, a scroll, a ping, a buzz, a fake dopamine hit. But the moment you saw that, really saw it, everything began to shift. You start guarding your time like it's sacred, because it is. You stop saying yes to everything and everyone. You stop chasing what's popular and start building what's permanent. You realize you don't need more followers, more likes, or more content. What you need is more concentration, more inner stillness, because it's in the silence that your purpose speaks. But if you're always distracted, you'll never hear it. The weak version of you feeds off of distractions because it's afraid of growth, afraid of pressure, afraid of responsibility. So it hides, it scrolls, it numbs. But the higher version of you, that version craves stillness. It craves order. It craves the kind of focus that turns a man into a force of nature. And here's the truth. You cannot become exceptional while living a distracted life. Excellence demands obsession. It demands full attention. It demands that you shut the door on everything unnecessary and lock in like your future depends on it, because it does. You want to fix your finances? Start with your focus. You want to change your body? Start with your focus. You want to become someone people respect, follow, and learn from? It all begins and ends with focus. Because once your mind is fully present, you begin to operate with power. You're no longer reacting to the world, you're leading in it. You're no longer consuming junk, you're creating legacy. You're no longer wasting hours, you're building empires. Distraction has no place in the life of someone who's serious about transformation. And if you're still holding on to it, ask yourself, why do you keep running from the very discipline that would change your life? Why do you keep returning to the same digital poison that's stealing your future? This is your wake-up call, not just to unplug, but to reclaim. Reclaim your attention. Reclaim your schedule. Reclaim your mind, because the world isn't going to make it easy for you. In fact, it's counting on your distraction. That's how it profits. That's how it controls. But you don't have to play that game anymore. You are not your phone. You are not the algorithm. You are not here to be entertained into mediocrity. You are here to build. You are here to lead. You are here to become the one in the room that no one can ignore. You are here to become the kind of person who doesn't chase dopamine. You create impact. The kind of person who walks into chaos and brings order. Who doesn't need external motivation because their vision is the fire. You stop needing reminders to work because your mission wakes you up before your alarm. You stop needing validation because your discipline becomes your confidence. And you stop explaining yourself because your results speak louder than words ever could. Every moment you choose to focus, you are strengthening the muscle of powerful living. Every time you sit down to build instead of scroll, you're voting for your future self. Every time you say no to another distraction, you're saying yes to a destiny most people will never experience. Because make no mistake, distraction isn't just an inconvenience, it's a thief. A thief of greatness, a thief of potential, a thief of the life you were meant to live. You have to train your mind like it's under attack, because it is. Every notification, every headline, every perfectly engineered feed is designed to steal your focus and fracture your soul. And unless you fight back with intention, with boundaries, with ferocious clarity, you'll wake up one day realizing you gave the best years of your life to pixels, noise, and nonsense, but not you, not anymore. You are stepping out of that fog now. You are deleting what needs to go. You are uninstalling the apps and reinstalling your mind. You are no longer a passive consumer of your time. You are the author of it, the commander of your day, the leader of your destiny, because you've had enough of being average, enough of being pulled in every direction, enough of pretending your future can wait. It can't. The clock is ticking, and every second that passes is either building your legacy or burying it. So from this moment forward, you train like you mean it. You think like a warrior. You build like a visionary. You guard your mind like a king protects his kingdom, because your mind is the kingdom, and if you don't rule it, someone else will. Then listen closely, because this is where everything begins to shift. Most people will never master their minds because they never even try. They think it's normal to be distracted, normal to scroll for hours, normal to multitask every second and wonder why their life feels fragmented, shallow, and exhausting. But understand this, just because something is common doesn't mean it's natural. Just because it's everywhere doesn't mean it's right. You are not built for fragmentation. You are not made for mental chaos. You are designed to lock in, to direct your awareness like a laser, to take control of your energy, your time, your thoughts, and channel them into something unstoppable. But that level of power doesn't happen by accident. It happens by decision, and more importantly, by repetition. Focus is a skill, and just like any other skill, it gets stronger every time you practice. Every time you choose deep work over shallow stimulation. Every time you feel the urge to escape into distraction and don't. That is the real victory, not the trophies, not the applause, not the flashy success that fades in a year, but the quiet, gritty decision to stay with it, to do the boring work, to train your focus until it becomes your superpower. Because when you're focused, truly focused, the world bends, doors open, people notice, ideas click, everything accelerates. Not because life got easier, but because you got sharper. You stepped out of the fog and into purpose. You stopped being a reactor and became a creator. That's when momentum becomes inevitable, because clarity compounds, energy compounds, discipline compounds, and every hour you reclaim from distraction becomes a brick in the empire you're building, quietly, relentlessly, unapologetically. So now the question becomes, how bad do you want it? Not just kind of, not just when you're inspired, not just when the video is playing and you feel fired up for 2 minutes. I'm talking about the real kind of want, the kind that burns so deeply inside you it overpowers the cravings for comfort, the kind that makes you close the tab, put down the phone, and sit with your discomfort instead of escaping it. Because here's the raw truth. Every second you spend distracted is a second you'll never get back. And what do you get in return? A dopamine spike that lasts 3 seconds and regret that lasts for decades. You think you're choosing freedom when you choose distraction, but you're not. You're choosing the illusion of freedom. You're choosing slavery to the algorithm, to other people's opinions, to cheap entertainment that makes you feel like you're living, when in reality you're watching other people live, while your own life burns in the background. You want your life to change? Good. Then start with the hardest thing. Take control of your attention. That is the gateway to power, to wealth, to clarity, to fulfillment. It's not just about working hard, it's about working undistracted, focused, present, alive. Because when you start showing up like that, people can feel it. You walk different, you speak with weight. You stop needing to prove yourself because your energy already proves it. That's when the universe starts responding. That's when doors open that were once locked. Not because they changed, but because you did. And the world always makes room for the man or woman who knows exactly what they want and refuses to be pulled off course. So ask yourself, when the world throws 1,000 distractions your way, will you be the one who caves or the one who commands? Do you realize how many dreams are buried in graveyards because of one simple phrase, "I'll do it later"? Not because people didn't have talent, not because they weren't smart or capable, but because they let their attention be stolen by things that did nothing for their destiny. The scroll, the click, the just 5 more minutes. It all adds up. And the most dangerous part, it doesn't hurt immediately. That's why it's so deadly. Distraction is a silent assassin. It kills slowly, without alarm, until one day you look around and wonder where your time went, where your fire went, where you went. And by then the cost is too high. You think you have time? You don't. Time is the most ruthless currency on earth. It doesn't give refund. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't pause when you're tired. Every second you feed to distraction is a second you rob from your future self, the one who's begging you right now to wake up and lock in. Because behind every major breakthrough is a long, boring, quiet hallway of undistracted work. No applause, no dopamine, just grit. But that's where greatness is born. In the discipline no one sees. In the sacrifices no one claps for. That's where the winners live. You want the world to bend to you? You want to build the life you see in your head? Then kill the noise. Be ruthless with your focus. Because when you finally remove the distractions, you'll meet the version of yourself you were always meant to become. The one that's been buried under 1,000 meaningless clicks. So now the challenge is simple. When you feel the urge to escape, when your brain screams for a hit of comfort, resist. When the world says scroll, you say build. When they rest, you rise. That's how legacies are made. That's how your bloodline changes. Not by inspiration, but by execution. Repeated, relentless, refined. You're not behind, you're distracted. And the moment you finally reclaim your mind, the world won't just notice, it will. And here's what they never told you. Every time you train your mind to resist distraction, you're building power, invisible power. The kind that doesn't show up on your bank account right away, doesn't get likes or followers, but it's the only power that matters. Because attention is your greatest asset, and in a world starving for it, the man who controls his attention controls his destiny. Most people, they're slaves. Slaves to their impulses, slaves to their screen, slaves to the next notification, the next dopamine hit, the next temporary escape from responsibility. They don't run their day runs them, and they wonder why they're anxious, why they're broke, why they feel empty no matter how entertained they are. Because distraction doesn't just waste your time, it robs you of meaning, it keeps you shallow. It makes sure you never sit long enough with yourself to actually hear what your spirit is screaming for. Silence terrifies most people, but silence is where your answers live, your intuition, your next move, your purpose. It's not hidden, it's just buried beneath the noise you refuse to let go of. You think you're escaping something when you scroll. You're not. You're running from your potential. You're numbing your ambition. You're delaying the pain of regret by feeding the pleasure of the moment. But pleasure is a trickster. It whispers comfort while chaining you to mediocrity. You were not built for that. There is a warrior inside of you, a builder, a master, but you've caged him in with convenience. And every time you choose distraction, you reinforce that cage. But every time you choose discipline, when you sit, focus, create, suffer, persist, you're bending the bars, you're breaking the cage, until finally you walk out. And when that happens, something strange occurs. Your surroundings begin to change. People treat you differently. Opportunities come your way. Respect follows. Why? Because the world recognizes the undistracted. There's an aura around a man who has conquered his mind. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't beg. He doesn't chase. He creates. He's not motivated by trends or likes. He's driven by vision. And that's the secret. When your life is led by vision instead of distraction, everything changes. Your days become sacred. Your energy becomes expensive. Your time becomes rare because you finally understand what it's worth. The man who owns his attention owns everything. And if you're still listening, you're not like the rest. You're not the average man scrolling for noise. You're not looking to be entertained. You're looking to be rebuilt. You feel the war happening inside of you, the battle between who you've been and who you were always meant to become. And you're finally ready to stop running from it, because distraction isn't just killing your time, it's killing your potential. Every moment you spend lost in the scroll is a moment your dream is bleeding, slowly, quietly, and the world will not wait. Time will not slow down so you can figure it out. No. You either wake up now or you watch your life become a graveyard of everything you were too distracted to finish. And here's the truth no one wants to tell you. Your distraction is not accidental, it's engineering. The apps, the ads, the endless feed. It was all built to hijack your dopamine, your focus, your ambition. You've been trained to crave the next hit of validation, the next piece of drama, the next momentary escape. But none of that will build you. None of that will carry you to the life you claim you want. You know what will? Silence, boredom, discipline. The dull, relentless repetition of choosing what's important over what's immediate. It's the battlefield. That's where winners are made. Not in some moment of hype, but in the thousands of quiet moments where you refuse to fold. So here's the question you need to ask yourself right now. Am I the master of my mind or the slave of my distraction? Because if you don't answer it today, life will answer it for you. And that answer won't be kind. Don't let another day disappear into the abyss of mindless scrolling. Reclaim your time. Reclaim your mind. Reclaim your mission. Your life doesn't change with a thought. It changes with decision. Right now, right here. And I'll leave you with this. You're not behind. You're not too late. But you are at war. And your greatest weapon is your attention. Now go watch the next video. Don't hesitate. Don't scroll. That next message might be the one that finally breaks the chains. Go. You said, continue. ChatGPT said, because this fight isn't over. In fact, it's just beginning. You see, distraction is just the surface. Beneath it, fear, insecurity, The parts of you that don't believe you're worthy of the life you say you want. That's why you keep running. That's why you keep hiding behind comfort, behind consumption, behind the false urgency of other people's lives. You'd rather watch someone else chase their destiny than face the silence required to step into your own. But let me tell you something that most men never hear in time. There's no version of you worth becoming that doesn't first walk through fire. You can't scroll your way into confidence. You can't Netflix your way into peace. You can't TikTok your way into self-respect. That's the whole world is designed to keep you numb, passive, entertained, and empty. And the only way out is through the boredom, through the cravings, through the nights where your hands shake because your soul is starving for purpose, but your brain just wants another hit of distraction. That's where you meet the real you. Not the version you post, not the version you pretend to be, but the version that's been waiting, silently, patiently, for you to shut the noise off long enough to hear him. And if you're still here, I want you to do something bold, something uncomfortable. I want you to sit in silence for 10 minutes today. No phone, no music, no stimulation, just you and the truth. Let the thoughts hit, let the discomfort rise, let the boredom scream, and don't move. Because if you can sit with yourself, you can rebuild but if you can't even be alone with your own mind, you're not free, your own. You want freedom? Then earn it. Minute by minute, thought by thought, battle by battle. This life you want, this focus, this purpose, this power, it's not something you find, it's something you build, brick by brick, day by day, choice by brutal, boring, beautiful choice. And if you're ready to keep going, if this lit something in you, you owe it to yourself to watch the next one. Not for me, not for the algorithm, but for the version of you that's still in there, fighting to survive in a world trying to kill your attention. Go now, and remember this. The man who controls his attention controls his destiny. Watch the next one. Don't wait. Don't fold. Don't lose this fire.